Hello, hello, my friends. AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink. Welcome back to my face and my card making space and more postage collage cards. A lot of you have been just as excited as I am, or just loving the Waffle Flower postage collage collection, which, if you're new, this started a couple of years ago. They released a postage collage die set. This is the A2 size one. It started with the die set and some coordinating stencils. And over the last couple of years, it has evolved into many, many coordinating stencil sets, other die sets, stamps, etc., etc., etc. There is a lot. In fact, to this point now, there's so much. There is some downloads. They're free that you can download. One of them is like a checklist to keep track of everything. I will have the links to those downloads posted in my blog post, which is always linked directly below the video. I also do have a list that I link to on my blog. If I remember, I'll also link to it in the description box below, where I just have all the products like as picture links in the order that they were released. Because again, there's a lot. And this release, I'm kind of extra excited about because there's a couple more stencil sets that work with the original A2 sized. There also, though, are stamps. Several. And I'll go through the stamps right before we get into making the cards. But they're all silhouette stamps. And the cool thing about those is those will work with anything. Whether you're into the postage collage or the other sizes, because I stick more with the A2 size. That's just my personal preference. But there is the A7. There's a slimline and a mini slimline, I think. I forget now. But I've had a lot of people contacting me about that, asking, when will there be more add-ons for those? That's where the stamps come in. Those will work with any of the sizes. Love. And they'll work just on their own because they're silhouette images. You can use the silhouettes and create little scenes. If the postage collage just isn't your thing, look into the silhouette stamps. Those are fun because there's just so many things you can do with them. So I will have links. I'll link to the new release like I do. I'll have links to everything I use to make my cards for this video. That will be in the description box below. And then, yeah, the downloads and all the things. This was a good one. I was so excited for this release. I was like, yay. Because I love the postage collage. I have a playlist. I'll have that linked at the end of this video in the end screen at the very end of the video. And my playlist of all the videos I've done with the various sets. And yeah, those will all be there so you can check those out. And I think that is enough housekeeping and chatter and all the things. Let's get into making the cards. Okay, so first off, I just had to show you guys all these silhouette sets because I'm only using one of them for today's video, which is the wild butterflies, because of course. But then we've also got the postage collage for sunset. There's the postage collage tropical sunset, the lake sunset, and then finally the wild birds. And again, these are meant to go with the postage collage collection, but you can do whatever you want, There's silhouette images. They can work with anything. And then there's also this really cute, this is the sealed sentiments, which I'm going to use. It's not part of the postage collage. I just thought I'd quickly show that. And then we'll get into it later. So the first thing I did was I took just a panel of A2 smooth white cardstock. This is 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. And I stuck it to my little waffle flower grip mat. And then I'm blending on 3 different colors of, this is Simon Says Stamp's Positively Saturated Inks. I'm using Guava. Right now it's Mist that I'm blending. And then I'm going to add Violet to the middle. And I'm just using my little waffle flower blending brushes for this. And I'm not doing a perfect blend. Although, again, these inks do smooth out as they dry. So it also kind of doesn't matter. But my camera just, I don't know, it's funny sometimes when I go to edit things and I was like, man, this looks not as nice as it looked in real life. But it's not going to matter. It doesn't need to be perfect anyway, because we're going to die cut it, we're going to stamp on top of it, and then normally I would do splatter. But warning ahead of time, I didn't splatter today. I know. I know. Who'da thunk? I'm okay. We're all good. Everything's fine. I'm sure I'll add 10 different types of splatter to the next set of cards. It's all good. So anyway, blended on those colors. And then I die cut this panel with the A2 Postage Collage blocks wafer die, which I honestly don't even think I had used this one yet. And I had to search around. You guys, I ripped apart my office and was like looking for this. I'm not even kidding, for at least an hour. It was on the back of the panel that I keep the Postage Collage Die. So it was literally sitting on my desk the entire time. That was fun. But I found it, so yay. So I die cut the panel with it. And so now I've got these just blocks, which you can use as is. Like it doesn't need to be like postage stamp, themed, but that's what I'm going with because I really do love it. So I'm using this fabulous Wild Butterflies set, which I had been pestering Nina about this because I did a video using the larger Postage Collage, the A7 set, quite some time ago. It'll be in the playlist. And I'd used an old Waffle Flower butterfly set on that. And that set, I think, was retired quite some time ago. And so people have been asking me about it. So I was pestering Nina at Waffle Flower. I was like, hey, we need some butterflies. So I'm so glad. I'm so glad she listened to me. I'm sure. And I told people, I was like, just ask if there's something you really love from certain brands, or you have an idea, or just, you'd like to see whatever, message them. Like, these are all small companies with really great people, and they'll add it to their list, and yeah, Waffle Flower came through with this one. I was super happy. So normally I just like knee-jerk instinct for me would be to stamp these in black. And it would look fabulous. The black would look so good. But I decided to be just a little bit different for once, and I pulled out, this is VersaFine Clair ink in Medieval Blue, which they call it it's like a purpley blue. It's just, look how pretty it is. It's just pretty. So just a slightly different look than doing these in black. So I stamped these butterflies and look at it. Look how pretty this is. And again, this would work on any of the sizes of the Postage Collage collection. So if you're into the bigger sets, these would work. They totally would. So after I'd stamped them, I used my white gel pen just to add random little highlights here and there. And it just really makes everything pop a little bit more. I love that. And this is just my Jelly Roll 10 gel pen, which I've talked about many times. I've gone on total side rants about this. Biggest thing with gel pens is you just need to use them as consistently as possible. That helps prevent them from drying out. So after I'd added my little white gel pen highlights, I die cut using the OG Postage Collage wafer die. And this is, I'm pretty sure this was Simon Says Stamps Blue Violet cardstock. That was also why I chose that VersaFine Clair Medieval Blue. They go together quite nicely. I can't find some things. Thankfully, I did find that die, that water, you guys, some of you all know, that watercolor paper, the pack of it that I, misplaced forever ago, still haven't found it. It's been months. I'll find it in the most ridiculous spot. But I found that ink pad, this ink that I haven't used in forever, found it in less than 2 seconds. But other things sitting on my desk in front of my face, can't find them for an hour, longer, sometimes never. Anyway, I adhered the blocks, and now I've got this, look how cute this is. I love it. So I also pulled out the OG, the original Postage Collage little mini stamp set that has the the cancellation marks and the denominations and things like that. And I didn't use the cancellation marks. I was gonna. I've talked about that in other videos I've done using these, how much, I don't know why, I really like stamping the cancellation marks and adding splatter and just getting messy with it. But this time I added just the denominations, and I just stamped them using that mist ink that I had ink blended. And there we go. That's it. That's all I did. I didn't do anything crazy. I was still up until this point, I was still planning on adding splatter, but you'll see. Anyway, the other thing I pulled out, or that's part of this new release, is this fabulous die set. This was another one that I was just excited about because I love silhouette wafer dies as well. And this is the Dry Flowers die set. And So many options with this. You could just leave them white. I thought like I could have die cut them from black or that blue violet cardstock. That would have looked amazing too. But I die cut them from white and then I just used the same ink colors. And this time I'm using my Waffle Flower, the Shader 1 Plus brushes to add ink, to the specific like areas, but also I'm not too worried about it. The inks will smooth out as they dry. Any little bits of texture, it just adds to it. I'm not at all concerned about getting like a perfect blend, anything like that. So I use the violet ink and then I'm going in with the guava ink and then I'll add the mist color to the other things. And of course I die cut everything twice because I'm going to have enough to do 2 cards. So I'm going to blend on the mist ink and then the only other color I pulled out like an extra is artichoke because I needed a green, for the greenery bits. So, and yeah, with this one I just slapped it on. I wasn't worried about like selectively inking just the little buds or whatever they're supposed to be on the branches. Who cares? It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. They're pretty regardless. So I slapped on the artichoke ink and again on camera, that's all I did. Just slapped it on. The ink will smooth out and what doesn't smooth out doesn't matter. It'll just add to the texture of everything because I'm going to cluster all of these together anyway. So I'm going to add the artichoke ink to these little die cut pieces. And then with the like pink flower one, I was using a little bit of post tape just so I don't get like a bunch of green ink on top of the pink portions of these little blooms because they're, pretty close together there. So that's where my little post-it tape just comes in handy just to keep me from getting ink literally where I really don't want it. And then the rest of it, good to go. So I'm going to get that blended on and then finally I can blend it onto the remaining 2 little die cuts. And then I've got these little like wafer dies, which these could stand alone on like their own, especially with the little wax seals I'm going to make that aren't actually wax seals, faux wax seals. Oh, another set I love. So this is the sealed wax seal die set and it die cuts 3 different sizes. I love wax seals. I've done some videos on them. I collect wax seals. I don't know. It's just one of those. I literally collect them. I love them. I have like 2 drawers full, wax and wax seal stampers and all the things. But they're not for everyone. And I get that, some people they like the look of it, but they don't want to mess around with like wax and heating and melting and pouring and all the things. I get it. So there have been a few different little sets here and there over the years that have come out, like die sets and stamp sets to make your own without having to deal with wax. So all kinds of options. This is the latest one and it's really cute. It's really cute. So you've got the options to make 3 different sizes and then there's little outline wafer dies that are part of it that you can use to, make the image that normally would be raised up in your wax seal. So I die cut that same blue violet cardstock with the medium size wafer die and each die cuts all 3 pieces, like the base and then the 2 layers that you stick together that create like that raised edge of the wax seals. So I adhered those together and then I took that medieval blue ink and just blended that around the edges to again just create that bit of depth, extra depth and dimension. And then the outlines, I die cut from white cardstock because I really wanted them to pop, but you could die cut them from the same color of cardstock and that does make it look even more like an actual wax seal. But I always like that look, on real wax seals where I'll take a metallic pen and trace over the raised outline, those sorts of things. So I adhered mine in white. And then I also took my little white gel pen and I followed, you can't really see it on camera, but there is some like debossed like little details and stuff. So I just traced those out with the white gel pen and then added a couple more little highlights while I was at it. And I've got my own little faux wax seal. So this is fun for those that like the look of them, but you do not want to get into the whole wax seal craziness. It is fun. It really is. But I know it's not for everyone, and that's okay. That's okay. So I built my little wax seals. And then I trimmed apart this panel. I do love leaving it just as is. I don't know. I don't know what my obsession is with these postage collage things. I really love the panel, because it covers an A2 card. But every once in a while, I'll cut them apart, and it's fun. I It's almost a little hard for me to cut them apart, but I did. So I cut them apart. And I also pulled out, this is an oldie but goodie background that I love. This is the Sweet Plaid texture die, which, as you can see, it just pierces all that texture. It doesn't actually cut anything. So I ran a couple of panels of sea glass cardstock that are A2 sized with that die. So it's got just that pattern on it. Love. And then I had figured out off camera my little layout. So I separated, I was able to put like 3 of these little postage stamps on each card front. And then I've got my little cluster of fake paper flowers. And then my fake little wax seal. Like, this, again, I had so much fun playing with these. I love when things just start coming together. So I adhered everything down with just craft tacky glue. And then once I've got this adhered, I also pulled out some iridescent cord from my stash. And yeah, I'm going to, and of course, like I tied one bow off camera without any thought whatsoever. It came together. And then the minute I started filming this, it was like I literally turned into all thumbs, you know? It's like the minute someone starts watching you do something that you're really, really good at or don't ever have to think of, and then nothing ever works. So this took me a couple of tries. So I just tie it in a bow. That's it. Just really simple. And I decided to double them up. That's why I'm tying a second one, because it'll just give more to like show. So I've got this little iridescent cord, tied it in a bow, got it the size I wanted, and then I can just trim off the tail ends. And then I'm going to adhere these directly on top of those florals with craft tacky glue. And you could just like adhere the bow and leave it as is, but I'm going to conceal the center area. So I put a good sized dab of glue. If I was just adhering the bow, I would have put like a small little bit of glue, and then that would dry matte and you wouldn't see like the glue at all. But I'm going to put like a decent sized little dollop of glue here, and then press these little bows into it. And then I'm going to put the wax, like fake wax seal, on top of it. So it's going to look like it was, pressed into place. So once I've got the bows, fiddled with and got them just the way I wanted them, because dealing with these metallic type cords, like metallic threads, cords, things like that, like they're a little bit slippery. But once I got them tied, they were fine. And then, yeah, a little blob of glue there, got them into place. And then the faux wax seal, same thing. I'm going to put a good amount of glue on there. And then I put something heavy on top of this just to press that down and hold it in place until that glue dried. And then nothing's going anywhere. And I love it. I love it. So for the sentiments, I use the sealed sentiments, because it all just goes so nicely. And those I had just stamped with that same medieval blue ink onto scraps of the sea glass cardstock. I'd stamped and then clear heat embossed them. And then I die cut them with the coordinating wafer die. And then for this one, I had tripled it up. So I die cut more scraps with the coordinating wafer die, and then adhered it to my card front. And then on the insides of my cards are going to be top folding A2 note cards. So 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. One's going to be portrait and one's going to be landscape orientation. And on the insides, I used those butterflies, or a couple of them anyway, not all of them. And I just stamped them with those same inks I did the blending with. So the guava, the violet, and the mist inks. And then I stamped another sentiment from that sealed sentiments set. And I stamped that with the medieval blue ink. So then the insides have the sentiment, and then a few more little butterflies in the coordinating colors. And then once those are stamped, I can then adhere the card fronts to the card bases. Again, using my craft tacky glue for this. And yeah, I was going to add splatter. Again, every step I'm always like, oh, is it time for splatter? Is it time now? But instead of doing splatter, what I ended up doing was I used the little butterfly icons from the little wax seal die set. And there's the littlest one. Look how cute it is. Look how cute it is. I didn't end up using it. I'm just going to put it in like the packaging with the set so I can use it the next time I grab it. But the little butterfly icons, because instead of using the outlines, I was like, oh, the shape of the inner portion is nice. Like, it's not wonky shaped or anything. So I die cut some shimmery vellum with those little wafer dies. So then I've got little butterfly accents I can add. So that was me making up for not adding splatter. Could I still have added splatter? Yeah, I totally could have. This would have looked cute with some white splatter. It would have. Maybe a little bit of iridescent. Yeah, I could have added 5 types of splatter to this and still justified it, but I didn't. It's fine. It's fine. We're fine. So I just added the little butterflies. I just put little tiny dabs of glue right behind like where the body would be. And because it's vellum and it's liquid glue, it makes the vellum like curl up a bit. So it, again, just builds dimension without any bulk, which love. So I did that with both of these card fronts. Again, this is where reverse tweezers really come in handy. Add a little bit of adhesive and then just press those in. It's so cute. And of course, I'm going to add some to the insides of the cards as well, because why not? Because I did die cut like just a bunch. I just zoned out for a few minutes and just die cut just little scraps of this shimmery vellum. Because like I always say, I do not get rid of, well, any of my scraps of cardstock, but especially specialty papers. I keep even the tiniest scraps of it because I can do little things like this, like die cut little tiny wafer dies for little embellishments. So that's what I did. And then my last little final thing, and this one's really subtle, like you can see it in real life. I took one of the outlines of the shimmery butterfly vellums and I'm adhering that on top of the die cuts. So it ends up giving it just that little teeny bit of shimmer. Again, very subtle, but it's just there. And because, yeah, I have a whole pile of them sitting here. So I just put the glue right on the back of it, dabbed off some of the excess, and then just layered it directly on top of that, and that finished them off. So these have a lot of like dimension going on, and yet I did not use, they don't have the thickness of like a normal, what a wax seal would have, which again, I personally don't mind. And just FYI, because people ask too, when I do put actual wax seals on my cards, I just add a layer of cardstock, of like heavier cardstock, in between the card front and the envelope when I go to mail them. Or if it's really dimensional, I stick it in a bubble mailer and we're good to go. So these ones won't need that. I would just stick a piece of cardstock on top just to protect the card front before I put it in my envelope and mail it out. So like I mentioned in the intro, I'll have links to all the things in the description box below the video, and then that playlist will be linked at the very end for anyone who's interested. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me today and for thumbs upping and commenting. I appreciate it so very much, and I'll see you all very soon in the next video. Bye. Thank you so much to my amazing Patreon supporters. For anyone that might be interested in joining my Patreon community and supporting me, the link to my Patreon is in the description box below the video. For everyone else, as always, thank you all so much for taking the time to watch my videos, for thumbs upping, commenting, subscribe if you haven't, I'd love to have you. And here's a couple other videos for you to check out in case you missed them. Bye!